Breaking stimulus news, everybody. So we finally have some good news. Manchin says he will want to support major pieces of President Biden's agenda. Sources close to Manchin say the Democrats are going to make a big mistake by waiting for him to lay out precisely what he'd support. Manchin has expressed interest in passing a bill through the filibuster-proof reconciliation process that would raise taxes, reduce the deficit, cut prescription costs, and fund energy and climate measures. Manchin also began leading bipartisan talks on energy over the last 2 weeks. But sources close to Manchin believe Democrats are making an error by waiting for Manchin to create his own detailed legislation. In a statement, Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi said the best approach would be for the White House to come up with a plan, get his approval, and then hand it off. He's not going to write a bipartisan bill, and that's not who he is. White House officials insist they've been sounding out Manchin about what he's willing to support. Schumer met recently with Joe Manchin behind closed doors in what was billed as a conversation about combating inflation. Schumer said the meeting was good and that they were going to continue talking. Schumer added that the only way to get rid of inflation is through reconciliation because the Republican is willing to raise taxes. Joe Manchin has said he'd support a package of higher taxes on upper earners and corporations, and as long as new spending programs are funded permanently and half the savings are put to deficit reduction. So while Manchin has kept the door open to extending healthcare benefits, Joe Manchin reiterated his support today for a filibuster-proof bill, saying his top priority is to combat inflation. He told reporters, "My main thing is inflation and fighting inflation with tax reforms. We ought to get rid of this debt and start in a responsible way, handling our finances." Manchin has acknowledged an obviously hurdle to a bipartisan deal. Any such package would have to be paid for, and Republicans are opposed to raising taxes to finance it. Lawmakers across the country are proposing a few different measures intended to provide relief at the pump as record-high gas prices hit drivers' pocketbooks. So while the Biden administration considered the idea of sending gas cards through the IRS, House Democrats have pitched ideas mirroring some popular crisis relief programs like stimulus checks and advanced child tax credits. Now, just a few weeks ago, the average price of a gallon of gas was over $3, $5 in 3 states like California, Hawaii, and Nevada. Several other states like Washington and Oregon are inching closer to the painful price point. With that in mind, lawmakers are looking for ways to help Americans feeling the pinch. Here's what that means. Recently, Colorado Governor Jared Polis has signed a state budget. An act says that he will boost reserves to the highest recorded levels in state history, while also delivering an $800 million stimulus package to help people in Colorado recover from the crisis. Lawmakers are marketing the stimulus package as the Colorado comeback. Polis originally asked lawmakers for $1.3 billion in stimulus spending, vowing that the amount could create 15,000 new jobs in the private sector. But the legislature landed on a more conservative number, and that's $800 million. The broad collection of legislation is made up of everything from small business support to funding for new infrastructure projects. Polis, Newsom, and Janet Mills are allocating more funds to round-of-state stimulus checks for their residents, and that's good news. The Biden administration has introduced a brand new program that would actually provide millions of people with financial aid, and there are over 5 different payments that can be claimed by low-income households right now. So to find out if you're eligible for this fourth stimulus check, and an increase in Social Security benefits, just continue watching this video. You definitely don't want to miss out on it.
Gentlewoman from Minnesota reserved. Gentleman from Maryland is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Here's a formula for the destruction of democracy, repeating Putin's propaganda and disinformation and appeasing imperialist assaults on sovereign nations. Madam Speaker, I yield 1 minute to the gentlewoman from Washington, Ms. Jayapal.
Gentlelady from Washington is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Workers' rights are human rights. The labor movement has shown us what is possible when we dream big and fight hard. And tonight we will clear yet another hurdle in the battle for workplace safety and dignity. I thank my colleague, Representative Levin, for his tremendous leadership on this resolution. With House Resolution 915, congressional staff will be able to organize and bargain for a better workplace without fear of intimidation or retaliation. As someone who organized with unions, working people, and for collective bargaining rights before coming to Congress, I know how important it is that we guarantee our staff that same right. As a co-lead of the PRO Act, I've continuously pushed for pro-worker policies that prioritize safety, equity, and better pay. And like other workers, congressional staff deserve to be protected at work. They put in long, hard hours. They work incredibly hard to serve the people. We must lead by example and show our gratitude by ensuring our staff have the right to bargain, to organize, and to unionize. I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. The gentleman from Maryland reserves. The gentlewoman from Minnesota is recognized.
Madam Speaker, I yield myself such time as I may consume.
For the whole month. So he said in the last few days of the month, the three of them sit in the same room so they can decide who needs the insulin that's left the most.
This is
now,
awful.
This is in America. This is wrong, and especially on insulin. Insulin's been around for over 100 years. It should be available. We should be doing this generic.
Biden even said, "I'm confident we can get the Build Back Better bill into law." And now, everybody, here's the breaking news about the fourth stimulus check of $1,400. Republicans and Democrats have fought hard over the issue of stimulus checks after passing the first one. But some Americans will be able to claim additional money when they file their taxes, and they could be eligible for the full $1,400 payment. One way people could be eligible for a full $1,400 is if they had a child in 2021. Now, I know many of you are wondering how this is possible. Well, it's because of the 2021 Economic Impact Payment. And that was based on a person's 2020 or 2019 return, so any eligible dependent that came to the family last year would not have been included in the payment amount. And those who have a child who qualifies for the recovery credit then know this: you can claim the dependent when they file the 2021 tax return this year. Unlike the first two rounds of payments, which limited dependent eligibility to just children, the third stimulus check made accommodations for dependents of all ages. So a person who adds a parent or grandparent or another eligible dependent to their household could be eligible for a $1,400 payment, folks. Just remember that. And if a person didn't add a dependent to their family in 2021, then they may be able to claim some of the money via the recovery credit on their 2021 tax return. Anyone who thinks they may be eligible for more money than they received should pay close attention when filing the taxes this year, as will be the last chance to receive the funds. I believe that President Biden must do something about the stimulus checks, and he should do a better job in sending them out. And if you guys agree with me, then tell me in the comments down below and say I agree. Folks, we got some breaking news about the fourth stimulus check, and of course, Social Security news in this video. So you want to continue watching this video to find out the latest stimulus news. Everybody, it's official. Up to $4,000 in new stimulus money is going to be given out to people who qualify for the stimulus payment. Remember, if you qualify for this, you could be getting $4,000. So here's some good news. The government has announced that millions of dollars are available to help people who missed out on receiving any federal stimulus checks in 2021. The one-time payment is part of the excluded New Jerseyans Fund. New Jersey's governor set aside $40 million in federal money to be used to help families who did not qualify for the economic stimulus checks that the federal government sent out last year. The money will especially be helpful to workers in the state of New Jersey. Many were essential workers like janitors and kitchen staff who lost jobs during lockdown. And everybody, according to state officials, a one-time direct cash benefit. This means a household can receive $4,000. It's pretty much something that everybody wants to see. More stimulus payments going to those in need.